something I quickly learned. Women, women are women, no matter where you go. But
can you elaborate more on that? On how women are women, no matter where you go?
Oh yeah, man. Just because they speak a different language, they live in a different location, they still have the same female nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's what prohibits them from going full out, modern Western female is the law and the culture and the people around them that keep them in check. But if you take one of the most pious, chaste woman from a third world country and you drop her in Atlanta or New York or Brooklyn or LA or Houston, give her a few years and she'll be acting just like these modern women because they don't have the culture and the family members and the law keeping them in check.
Hi guys. So yesterday Aston interviewed Dennis Spurling on his live. If you guys don't know who David Spurling is, he is a lawyer in real life and he is also a YouTuber and he is also a raging sexist. And they talked about several issues. Actually, it's just Dennis who talked about, about the issues. Aston was just asking the questions. And one of the questions Aston asked was, why were foreign women, especially women in the global south, submissive, friendly, but American women, women in the Western world are not? And the first reason Dennis gave was that women in the global south do not have easy access to food. He said they need men for their basic needs because they cannot meet their basic needs by themselves. I mean, I think when he's talking about basic needs, he's talking about food, shelter, and clothing. The women in the global south do not have those things, so they need a man with a resource to provide that. So they have to be submissive. Basically, their situation forces them to be submissive to men. Then he started talking about the situation of the women in America, in the Western world. He says in the first world, and he said that women in the first world have easy access to food. If they need food, they don't have to go out and forage for it. They don't have to go out and milk the cow. All they have to do is go to Chick-fil-A and they have their lunch there, or he even said that their food could be delivered right to their front door by Uber Eats. But he said that food is so easy for women in the Western world to access to get. And he said because of that, because they could meet their basic needs so easily, they are not submissive. They do not need men. They don't need men, so they don't have to be submissive to men.
Where you are, if you go right outside of that city that you're in, there are still people who are living and on the side of hills with no running water. A woman like that is looking for somebody, a man that's coming along with some money to help her so she can get some of the basic needs. Here, because of the society that's been built in first world countries, because of the conveniences that they have, they don't have to go out to the field and pick fruit. They don't have to go milk a cow. They don't have to cook on an open stove. They can go right down here to Chick-fil-A. They can have Instacart, bring groceries to their house. They can have Uber Eats, bring cooked food to their house. They don't even have to leave. They don't even have to go to a grocery store anymore. And so when it's that convenient, and then it is at the point now where women in the first world, they don't need men for their immediate needs. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. I was a little bit shocked, but not because I know how sexist Dennis is. But Dennis is basically saying that he would rather women in the Western world did not have, their basic needs met so easily. He wants women not to have easy access to food because easy access to food, according to Dennis, is leading these women not to be submissive to men. And for sexists like Dennis, women are created to serve men. So anything that comes in the way of women serving men is a bad thing. For Dennis, women having easy access to food, women not starving. I mean, if you have easy access to food, you're not starving. Women not starving is a bad thing because it is making women not be submissive to men. I mean, when, it is a very disgusting view of women because they don't view us as full-fledged independent human beings. They view us as extension of them. They view women not full-fledged human beings like them. They believe that we are created to serve them. So anything that is preventing us from serving men is a bad thing. Even what that thing that is preventing us from serving men is our basic needs being met, that is a bad thing. They see that as a bad thing. They would rather us starve so that we can depend on them, so that we can be submissive, than us be have easy access to food and be independent. Because like I said, men like Dennis are sexist and they do not see us as full-fledged human beings. They believe that we should live our life to serve men. That is our life purpose. So, mind you, the people that have easy access to food in the Western world are not just women. Men also have easy access to food, right? But Dennis is okay with that because for him, men are supposed to live, a life of luxury. Men are supposed to live comfortable life, but women are supposed to serve men. The only human beings that are supposed to live full and fulfilling life are men. Whereas women, our purpose is to make sure that men have this fulfilling life. We are their servers. We are their helpers. So I'm not shocked. I mean, I'm disgusted, but not shocked by, how Dennis said that, how Dennis seemed to have problem to be disgusted that women in the first world do have easy access to food. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, if you guys, I used to watch him, like I said multiple times, I came into this YouTube, at least the manosphere part of the YouTube because of Pearly Things. And so I used to watch him, the early days of the Pearly Things scandal. And, I liked, the way he responded, but as the Pearly Things scandal died off and he went back to his regular programming, I started to realize how sexist that guy is. I was actually so surprised that an educated man like him would be so sexist, but he truly is sexist. He is, in a lot of ways, he is more sexist than men who have not gotten any formal education. So yeah, he is very sexist. Another thing, Dennis has a son that is either Austin's age or younger than Austin, and Dennis said he tells his son to look up to Austin, to imitate Austin.
You present these men with options. I'm just saying, bro, you're a young, handsome man. I got a 16-year-old son, and I would let him look at your journey. You see what I'm saying? Like, son, this is an option too. It's an option for you too. When I see young brothers like that out there, I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool.
I'm like, what the? Austin is 25 years old. He is not going to college. He is traveling around the world being a sex tourist. And you, an educated person, want your son to follow, Austin, to follow the example of Austin. And I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? When your parents are educated, especially a lawyer, they are supposed to expect more from you. How are you, a lawyer, an educated man, wanting your son to be a sex tourist? Like it does, it's just, this guy is just, that's what sexism does, right? He probably thinks the most important part of his son's life is being able to get laid around the world. One thing though, I think Dennis is a bitter middle-aged man. I think in his youth, he met so many women who told him, they're independent, they're working on their career, they're not focused on, creating on marriage or creating family. And he probably thought that the women would regret their decision not to get married, not to have kids, but instead to focus on their education and their career. They will regret it, in their old age or in their middle age. And he is now middle age, and he sees that these women are not regretting their decisions. And I say that from experience because I have never been married. I don't have kids, and there are many men who are angry when they find out that I do not regret not getting married, not having kids. So I think Dennis is better about women not regretting, being single and not having kids. And the other thing, of course, and the bitterness comes so clear. He is so bitter about Black American women not needing men like him. And, because for sexists, when women do not need them, they get angry because they want us to be dependent on them. And when we are not, it angers them. He was talking about how Black American women are not doing good, but you could see that he doesn't know. He himself doesn't believe the lie. He knows that Black American women are doing fine, and that angers him. I mean, it's very obvious from watching him, whenever he's talking about Black American women, you could see the bitterness on his face. So this guy is bitter. So anyways, then he was talking about how Passport Bro is going to be, it's going to free men, and, because men are going to leave American women and go abroad to get submissive women. And
so I think it's going to be a thing. Passport bros, or blue book gentlemen, or passport kings. It is here to stay. It's not a fad. It's a cultural movement. It's a cultural shift that in 50 years it'll just be like, yeah, man. I was born and raised in Kansas City, and after I turned 18, I got my college degree, and then I decided to go down to India, and I've been here ever since. Met my wife here. It's just going to be the thing to do, and that American passport opens a lot of doors for you.
Like, and I'm so surprised that Aston didn't correct him, because Aston himself is realizing that the women abroad are not as submissive as they thought they were, right? Because Aston had so many experience with the only ones that seem to be submissive are the sex workers, and the sex workers are submissive because they are paid to be submissive. But even Dennis himself, like later on, said that as the world had become more and more connected, the women in the global south are just gonna be as independent and as non-submissive as the women in America. So I'm like, you are contradicting yourself. Anyways, he was also talking about Kevin Samuels and attacking Black women for celebrating Kevin's days.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin Samuels, man. This is his birthday today, man. So he would be it's been 2 years since he removed. So shout out to him. So happy birthday to Kevin. I sent a text message to his mother this morning, and she was in tears when she read it. And Kevin Samuels passed away. Many brothers saw just how nasty and mean and ugly Black women were towards this man on his death.
And I'm like, Black women have all the right to celebrate his days. Kevin Samuel was a dangerous Black woman hater. He was telling Black women, Black moms, not to believe their Black daughters when the Black daughter tells them that their stepdad is molesting them sexually, abusing them. A man who says things like that, who gives advice like that, is, his days is to be celebrated. Kevin Samuel was a dangerous Black woman hater, and I didn't know him that much when he was alive. I didn't know he even had a show. So when he died, I didn't celebrate. But if I had known him, I would have probably celebrated as well. And let's be honest, Dennis was talking about how yesterday would have been Kevin's birthday and how he called Kevin's mama. And I think that's all fake. The love Dennis has for Kevin is more, it's fake. Because the reason I'm saying that is Kevin's family could not bury Kevin's body on time. I mean, the Kevin's body was in the morgue for almost like 1 month because they didn't have money to bury him. And people like Dennis didn't step up to contribute money to the burial, right? If he truly loved him, he would have showed it that way. He would have showed it by, contributing money to his burial. He didn't. So I don't really think that, Dennis likes Kevin that much. And so, watching the whole live, I realized how bitter Dennis is, like I said earlier. I think he is angry that his generation, he said Generation X, that was not able to get back to humble Black American women. So he thinks the passport bros like Austin, the new generation of Black men, will be able to achieve what he and his Generation X men were not able to achieve. Because he said that he's during, like in the 90s, which is when he was a young man, they started men's rights movement, but it didn't succeed.
So back in the 1990s, they had something called the men's rights movement. And that was men saying, hey, you know what? It's one thing for women to have rights. It's another thing for them to have rights that are superior to men in a society and a country that we built. But, that idea got flushed down the toilet. They basically told those men to man up, shut up, and take it like a man.
So he thinks, the passport bro would achieve what he and his fellow Gen Xer men were not able to achieve. And I'm like, I mean, it's funny to me because why men are not just admitting that, why they cannot adapt to new realities. The new reality that women do not need men any longer. I mean, we probably need them a little bit right now, but as society develops, as we progress more and more, we need them less and less. And instead of, sitting there and getting angry about it, why don't you adapt to the new reality? Instead of being a bitter old middle-aged man like Dennis, why don't you adapt to the new reality and be as independent as women are? Anyways, let me know what you think. Thank you. Bye-bye.